Hey, welcome back to Spellbound. I'm BJ the Book Witch, and this is a list of recommended books for your mood. Alright, so when I listen to music, I have to have that music match my mood. Same with books. And right now, it's like 60 degrees outside, which is basically freezing in Florida weather. So I have all of those cozy, icy January vibes. And my TBR looks a little like this. How'd that get there? But sometimes I have a really hard time mood reading because I don't know if the book I'm going to pick up will actually match my mood. And that's why I'm here today to help you out. I have chosen some very specific book recommendations for some very specific moods. And look, I've done the work here. I have gone beyond the typical mad, bad, sad, glad junk, and I have chosen some seriously specific and seriously relatable moods that we all find ourselves in from time to time. And I've got a book or two that will perfectly capture those vibes. 1. Crushing Angst. And I don't just mean the whole, my life is so unfair, nobody gets me kind of angst. We'll get to that in a minute. No, I mean that truly suffocated, gotta get out of this town, I gotta be free, those over-the-top John Green, when will my life begin kind of angsty vibes. For this, I recommend The 10,000 Doors of January by Alix E. Harrow and or The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. The 10,000 Doors of January is about a girl on an adventure to find and save portals between worlds. While on her journey, she realizes that the greatest adventure of all is self-discovery. The Cruel Prince is about Jude, a girl who was taken to Fairy when she was young. Now, as a teenager, she has the chance to compete to become a knight in the king's court. As a human, and therefore an outsider, she must work twice as hard to earn her spot, and do so while avoiding the attention of the king's youngest and most arrogant son, the Cruel Prince. 2. Screwed over. Look, we've all been there. Someone has wronged us. A coworker took credit for something you did at work, you heard your best friend say something nasty about you behind your back, your family purposefully embarrassed you in front of a date. It's not a fun feeling, but there are precious few choices with what to do in these situations. See my revenge video. Fortunately, I've got a solution. Getting Revenge on Lauren Wood by Eileen Cook. This is about a girl named Helen who is backstabbed by her best friend Lauren at the end of 8th grade. It affects her so much that she moves away. After 3 years of stewing, Helen returns and spends her entire senior year exacting revenge. It's a quick and fun read, and it will give you all the satisfaction of having taken revenge on your wrongdoer without any of the consequences. Satisfaction guaranteed. 3. Underappreciated. I get it. It sucks really hard when someone isn't loving or appreciating us in the way that we want. My love language is gift-giving and physical touch. So if I'm feeling unhugged and ungifted, I'm feeling like ignored trash. But fear not, I've got a book for that. The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. Just because we aren't feeling it right now doesn't mean that those around us aren't absolutely, positively affected by our presence. You are seen, you are valued, and you are loved. 4. Nostalgic threshold. You might be on the precipice of something. Moving out, moving in. Getting a new job, moving away, getting married. Whatever it is, thresholds are scary. You've got one foot on one side and one foot on the other. You can feel split down the middle, or worse, like a seesaw, going back and forth. Part of you wants to move forward, but part of you is also scared of what you're leaving behind. Well, I've got 2 great books for this. In addition to the #1 perfect choice BJ's favorite story of all time, Peter Pan. The first is The Halloween Moon by Joseph Fink. This laugh-out-loud middle grade is about a girl who is told she is too old to go trick-or-treating. She sneaks out of the house anyway and finds herself smack in the middle of a huge Halloween mystery. The second rec is Something Wicked This Way Comes by Ray Bradbury. This is one of my favorite books, and it's also about thresholds and nostalgia and the fear and anticipation of time and growing up. It's about a creepy carnival that comes to town right at Halloween. 5. An Island of One. You know that feeling of, I know I'm right, why won't you just listen to me? I feel this fairly often, which maybe speaks more to my superiority complex than this particular mood. Regardless, this feeling happens when you keep telling your best friend that the guy that she's into is no good for her and she won't listen to you. Or when you have this really great idea for a group project and everybody else wants to do something else, but you know it's going to cost you points. Or when you tell your dad that it's officially not cool to change your email font to Comic Sans, but he wants to shoot his shot anyway. Yeah, it's that feeling of, I know I'm right, but you haven't quite made it to the I told you so phase, so you just have to sit there in your rightness and then still go along with whatever they say. That feeling. The book here is Stalking Jack the Ripper by Kerri Maniscalco. And this is a 4-book series here. For fans of Dracula, Frankenstein, Houdini, Jack the Ripper, and Sherlock Holmes, this series might be for you. This book and this series perfectly encapsulates this feeling. It's a very well-written and well-researched series, and if you can get past the hashtag not like other girls protagonist, it might just be your new favorite. In fact, let me know when you read it, and I'll say I told you so. 6. Justified Millennial Rage. Look, we are the most educated generation in American history, and also the poorest since the Great Depression. That alone would be cause for alarm and radical disillusionment. But considering that we grew up through an economic crisis, the longest war in American history, and a terrorist attack that killed 3,000 people that was broadcasted live into our elementary school classrooms, which still never seemed as real or as visceral as the twice-yearly lockdown drills due to the rampant school shootings that take place every single year in our public schools, due to the fact that it's actually easier for me to get fast and legal access to an assault rifle than it is birth control. And in fact, that my own womb and vagina is monitored more closely in legal and ethical terms than the assault rifle. And more recently, an attempted coup on our government, and a pandemic that was handled so poorly that it resulted in the easily savable lives of over 700,000 Americans. And we haven't even hit our midlife crisis yet. But don't worry, we won't have time to, because we'll be too busy trying to save the planet from imminent doom that our Generation Xers and baby boomers have completely fucked up for us. Sorry, went off on a little snowflake tangent there, but my point is, we're angry. And that's okay. I've got a book for that. A book that will neither whisk you away into a fantasy world to forget the crushing realities of this one, which by the way would be completely understandable, nor one that would stoke the fires of your justified millennial rage. This book will make you feel seen. It will give space to the feelings that you have, letting you breathe for just a minute with the realization that yes, there is a lot of work to be done, but we aren't in it alone. And that's Little Thieves by Margaret Owen. This incredibly written fantasy is a retelling of the fairy tale The Goose Girl. A princess's maid steals the identity of a princess, and the maid, now posing as a princess, acts as a thief throughout the kingdom. She's trying to buy her freedom and escape the reaches of her godparents' death and fortune. During her thievery, she takes something that she wasn't supposed to and is cursed by a different god, telling her that she must return all that was stolen or she will be consumed by her greed, turning into a pile of diamonds and rubies. The writing is immaculate, and I'll talk more about that in my end of the month wrap-up, but I can already see this being a contender for my favorite book of the year. This book addresses privilege, perspective, what it means to ask for help, self-care, what it's like to be born into completely unfair circumstances, and that it's not as easy as picking yourself up by your bootstraps when you don't even have boots. But you aren't alone. And while forgiveness is certainly not the responsibility of the victim or even a real virtue, compassion and empathy are the foundations for real friendship. This book, all the feels, especially for that glowing ember in my own heart for my justified millennial rage. 7. Completely Misunderstood. If you are or have ever been a teenager, then you know this feeling very well. You could be surrounded by friends and still feel like no one really gets you. And if you're an introspective person at all, you could know yourself really well, and that could even amplify this feeling. Everyone feels this way at some point. And it doesn't mean that you don't love your friends or your friends don't love you, but it is a truly unique and great feeling when you feel seen and when you feel like someone really gets you. 2 books here. First, The Perks of Being a Wallflower. I've never wanted to read this book. It always seemed really melodramatic to me, and I didn't like the movie out of spite. Here's my issue with the movie. The book was about being slightly off-brand and not being cool or trendy, kind of a loner, but then finding a group of misfits who really understand you. Now, I could be totally wrong about that, but I think that's what the book was about because that's what the movie was about. Except the movie came out 15 years after the book. So this movie is coming out when this whole 90s grunge bullshit has officially become the new cool and trendy version of alternative. So when you have Emma Watson, one of the biggest stars for the film's demographic in 2012, wearing literally the coolest and trendiest clothes that a teenager could wear at the time, with a group of other kids doing the same thing, like blushing and tucking her hair behind her ears, saying things like, I don't know, I don't really follow trends, I just like what I like, while being trendy, the whole thing just feels kind of hollow. But I hear good things about the book. Additionally, you could check out The Murder of Bindi McKenzie by Jaclyn Moriarty. This book is hysterical and whimsical. I love Moriarty's writing style, especially her YA stuff. This book is about a slightly narcissistic overachiever, as in your classic burnt-out gifted kid, before it became a hashtag, who believes that someone is trying to kill her because she knows too much. This book is hilarious and totally captures that feeling of being misunderstood, even when you're surrounded by peers. 8. Dreary Disillusionment. You know when you have something built up in your head to be incredible, but then you go to find out that it's just normal? It's not even bad or terrible, there's just no magic there. This is Dorothy realizing that the Wizard of Oz is just a dude, or you catching your parents setting out presents from Santa, or realizing that prom is less a rite of passage and more just a sweaty dance. It's more than disappointment because it means that there's an ideal somewhere in your head that has now been drained of its color. It's been made average. It's a sad feeling, and I have 2 book recommendations. For wallowing in this feeling, and it's okay to wallow, give that feeling some room to breathe, I recommend Bellman and Black by Diane Setterfield. Setterfield's writing is extraordinary, and this book is a character study about a man who is somewhat cursed. It's gonna be hard to say more than that since revealing anything would give away a plot point, but essentially this guy lives in this space of dreary disillusionment. So if you want to hang out in that space, this is the read to do it. However, if you want that imagination back, that inspiration, motivation to dream a world of possibilities, I recommend Howl's Moving Castle by Diane Wynne Jones. This is an extremely fun and imaginative book that is about a magical castle and different portals. Warning, you will leave inspired. 9. Existential Dread. This is a close companion to Millennial Rage, but it's that feeling of loose nothingness. It's usually accompanied with a little anxiety, maybe a splash of trauma. Yeah, this feeling isn't great, but I've got a book for that. The Ocean at the End of the Lane by Neil Gaiman. This is about a man who travels to his childhood home for a funeral, and there he confronts his past. It's got these dreamlike liminal vibes that really match the anxiety that comes with a healthy and occasional dose of existential dread. 10. On Your A Game. It occurred to me when I made this list that this might not be a thing that people say anymore. Do people say this? On your A game? Because what I mean is when you're feeling like a bad bitch. You aren't angry or stressed out, you're just owning it right now. This could be at work or in school or in your fencing club. You're just killing it and you're really proud of yourself. The book I'd recommend is The Shadows Between Us by Trisha Levenseller. This book is so much fun. Not a lot of high stakes or intense suspense, just a fun ride about a girl with a goal, to marry and kill the king. This book is described as a Slytherin romance, and I would have to agree. It's just a good time, and it makes you root for the protagonist and root for yourself. Okay, what do you guys think? Did I capture some good moods? Which ones did I forget? And what are your recommendations for these moods? Let me know in the comments. And then tell me how you feel. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you loved it, hit subscribe. And of course, there's always Instagram. Take care, and as always, happy reading.